MicroSave. It's Ritu David from the Data Duck. I'm here to talk to you about your website and give you my views on it. I think that for a website that has so much content on it, you've done a tremendous job in terms of keeping it all together cohesively in a way that's relatively easily to navigate. I'll take you through the things that I think you've done really well first, so that we start on a sort of positive note, and then I'll tell you what perhaps could be done better. One of the things is, I think, as one lands on your website, the what we do, this part over here, is people land on your website and they sort of want to know within 2 seconds what you do. If they're already doing business with you, they already know what you do. I feel that this can be a lot more user-friendly. We can use an infographic here, you've achieved so much, and I think that when we get to read the About Us section, that really talks to me. That really makes me feel that you're an amazing organization. It's an organization that if I were to do any financial inclusion work, I would definitely look to. On your homepage, however, I feel that that's not really coming out, and I think that was an issue with real estate on your website, on your homepage, and I completely understand. I do feel that we can improve the way we communicate this right up the top. I also think that this scroller thing of your latest reports is perhaps not as visually appealing as we would hope it to be. One of the things is that not all your photographs are cohesive. So this one is, sort of done quite professionally. So is this. This looks professional. This suddenly is an icon, an iconography, and a move away from photographs. Again, iconography, and this is not. And this last one just isn't high def enough. It doesn't. It's rather sort of taken on the go than something like this, which is conjured. So I feel that there needs to be a lot of cohesiveness up top for your branding. This is key real estate that we're talking here. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this interactive sort of infographic that you've got here, and that I can, go in and read all of these things, select the region and what's trending. I think that's great. I feel the information hierarchy in this area perhaps could be improved. For example, we're talking a lot about presentations, videos, publications. A lot of people might not come to your website hoping to see. They wouldn't know what publication they're looking for. So if we started to do this sort of more content specific rather than mode of communication, so your mode of communication is publication, but your content could be digitizing farmers in India, for example. And so we could have a bunch of keywords up here that people could click on, and that would show them what they can read. The sectors that we work in and the what's new, I think what's new can pop up only for returning users, not for over here, not for the user that has come for the first time. What's new can go down, and what's new and latest from the library confuses me. As an outsider to your ecosystem, I don't really understand the difference between within your organization, you will say, okay, this is a publication, this is a presentation, this is a video, this is a blog. But people don't consume content that way all the time. I would like to know more about the content first, and then the method, as we spoke of, method of communication. So same here, I would like to see an easier way to sort of reach your content. The announcements as well are very static, and I feel that perhaps announcements could be something that's scrolling. It doesn't need to take up so much space. this would depend, of course, on the information needs of your clients, which we will only understand once we engage and have a research meeting with you. I feel that your recent tweets are possibly taking up too much space up here. There's too much about recent in announcements, and it doesn't give you the depth of knowledge, it doesn't bring you across as a thought leader as much. You seem very new in the field when I first reached your website, because everything was about, what's new. Also up here, I would love this to have a little more, real estate, your subscribe to button. It could be something that pops up once the user has scrolled 75% down your page or has been on your page for about a minute. The what are you searching for? I think this can be the information hierarchy that this brings up, and the semantic search can be improved. For example, if I put in something like web, and what I mean is perhaps digital, this does not bring up exactly what I want in terms of a list. So now these are popular links, but these don't relate to web or digital. So I think what we would want to do is do a sort of complete overhaul. I know that scares people, but just off your information hierarchy, those are the meta tagging and the tagging that sit behind, so that when a search query goes in, it sort of lands at a place that makes the person feel that they've gotten what they're looking for. Your sectors, your working groups, I think the most important thing is for like things to be clubbed together. So for sectors, services, I think that would be a good thing together. Clients and partnerships and about us can be together, for example. Your library, your blog, so it can be termed together. Contact us, about us, together, perhaps. These simple things. One of the things that we found when we do look at, so say we go in here and we look at something like this. It's a report that you've made. There is a bit of load time issue. Another thing is that I feel I've been moved out to another company altogether, even though your MicroSave logo is there. They have a lot of other partners, so I don't feel like necessarily this is a part of your group. I feel that perhaps you're just associated with it. Now I've clicked on it, I clearly want to read it. Now I go to download. So I'm on a really fast connection, but for some reason it takes quite some time. And I've often reached this place where it just goes into a blank screen. We would like to put in, if loading times are an issue, especially in countries that you serve, internet speeds might not be that high, we would like to have a micro interaction over here somewhere that gives the loading bar, so a user feels like they haven't just gone into some deep place of nothing. We come back here because that hasn't loaded yet. And the way this works is excellent because you've got a similar set of colors. However, your call to action button isn't bright and is sort of lost. Also, the diagonal is very unusual, and people tend to look for call to action buttons that are rectangular, and I understand that we want to be a little bit different and a little bit perhaps reflecting the helix diagonal that you've got here, but I feel that a call to action button really ought to be something that's really easy to find. Your social shares as well, I feel like they ought to be the colors that we're used to. For example, the Facebook blue, the Twitter blue, the LinkedIn blue are all different in reality, and your YouTube channel as well. Let's go back to your main website. So I've spoken about, there's no mention of Helix here really, and I'm sort of unsure about how that is a sub-brand and how both of you work together. when I read a report, so I go to one of your presentations. Oh, that was a report. I go to one of your presentations and we look at mitigation of customer risk. I'm an actuary by profession, no training, and now I do this, so it's very exciting to be reading about risk and financial in the financial space. Now, once again, I have to download the resource. It's not very customer friendly. I just see a black spot here. The user experience is, I feel, is a little bit is letting you down and letting your reports down. Now, once again, I reach this blank space. Doesn't really work. And I've tried this several times on several computers, so I'm not sure what's happening there. When we go here, for example, let's go back there. It really talks about the person who's done it, which is great from your side, but I think what would be good is to have below this the tags, you know, and perhaps the person who's written it on this side, because people naturally just scroll down to read about it. And I would like to have the tags here as a user, as opposed to having the author. And over here we can give the author prime real estate, which is web convention, to have the author on the side rather than at the bottom before any explanation of the actual product. When we go into your services, now each of these services, I feel, sorry about my hand, I feel that each of these services is really remarkable. And to just have one tiny sort of tweet-sized bit of information in very small writing with a photograph that I don't think that photograph says much. So I would recommend that this real estate be used for text that is clear. It could be small but larger in font size, for example. I also feel that, see here, this one you've got your colors right, which is what I was talking about earlier. So this goes across everywhere, you know, the way that you're showing things. I don't feel that it's very user-friendly. It's not, we talk about inclusive in finance and banking. I'm Australian, and I know that Australian government websites need to meet inclusive standards. So we need to allow for people with difficulties with vision, people with disabilities, and I would like to see your website, since those are your clients, to also meet similar standards, and we wouldn't want some people in the clients that you serve so not being able to access your website. Now, very simple thing, when we go into private sector development, for example, this comes up. Now, your content here is inside out content. You talk about what you do. I would like to see a content flip, you know, people like to know what you can do for them. And then once they've read that, they would like to see what you do. And so although it's a major part of your philosophy, I would like to see that in your About Us section rather than the private sector development section. So the design here, it's just about the way we place information and how we sort it. I think that with here, case studies, you know, we've worked with water.org, Equity Bank of Kenya. It would be great to be able to have some case studies next to that as well. Over here, this is excellent, and I feel like this could be up top, you know. Your signature projects are perhaps your case studies, and I feel like they weren't linked here, you know. I'm not sure if someone would scroll all the way down to see that. People tend to not look at websites in depth now. They tend to just scan. So if it's not there, easily available, it's not going to do that. I don't really understand what this is over here. It's once again prime real estate. Most people will be reading in the F pattern in your clients, but more and more of us scan in a Z pattern, and this is really taking up a lot of real estate that could be used elsewhere. I don't think I have to point out, but I'm using it on a large screen on a laptop, and your website doesn't. It squishes into the mobile screen, but it's not mobile friendly, and I think that a mobile responsive and a mobile friendly are two very, very different things. Mobile responsive is that this website that you see here, all of the options are available on the mobile, and they're just squished into a smaller screen. A mobile friendly design is one that looks at the smaller screen and redesigns the website for a mobile device. So you end up having two websites. You end up having one for the desktop and larger screens and one for mobiles. I feel that more and more people, at least all of our clients, are moving in that direction, and more and more sort of initial discovery is done on the mobile. People tend to look a lot on the move, or you're in a meeting and someone mentions MicroSave and you look it up on your mobile phone rather than on a desktop or a laptop. And so we would really like to see your mobile website be that sort of beacon, talking about what you do in a really positive way that's easily accessible and seen right up top. From a complete sort of aesthetics perspective, I would like to have a little more pop and color. I mean, you do serve countries that are very colorful, and we did a survey of all the flags of the countries that you serve, and we see extraordinarily bright colors. We also feel that color blocking in a way will help your content pop. We would like to retain the white and navy, or the white and whatever we decide shade of blue, which is typical to the financial sector and to government institutions. It generates trust, it generates reliability, and it's something that people expect almost. But we would like to see a lot more color used in order to help things pop. We would like to see a bit more iconography, more infographics. When you land into a report or a working paper or a white paper, not just to see the boring sort of PDF front, but like an exec summary in infographic form would be really exciting. That might be a lot for your own shop to do each time, but perhaps for the major work that you do, we could have something like that. I don't think people listen to anyone past about 10 minutes, so I'm 8 minutes over, and I'd love to have this conversation in person. Thank you for your time.